So no video, right? I don't need to do that.
Not yet.
Wait, oh, will you tell me when?
Yeah.
At 6.
Oh, it's 6. Okay, got it. Sorry, guys. All right, so we just want to welcome everyone that's here so far. We're going to get going in just a little bit. We're going to start at 6 o'clock, but I just want to welcome you to the webinar. So while we're waiting, I just want to let you guys know that you're muted, and so we're unable to ask questions out loud, but you can ask questions using the chat feature or the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. And we'll have staff answering questions throughout the webinar, as well as we'll be answering questions live at different points through the webinar as we get kind of frequently asked questions. We'll be addressing them as we go. So just know that you can ask questions, you're muted, and we're going to get going here in about 6 minutes. So you had a few more people join in. We welcome you. We will begin shortly, right at 6. Just want to remind you, you can use the chat and Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen, and we'll be answering questions live. So if you have a question, just pop that in there. So we have about 3 more minutes before we're going to begin. I just want to say hi to our guests. We've got, let's see, Donald and Mark and Stacy and Teresa. How about this? If you guys are excited to hear about this mini grant, give me like a thumbs up. Let's see if you guys are here. Nobody? All right.
And just so you guys know, we can't see your video. We just have your names in a participant list.
All right, so just a couple more minutes and we'll get going here. See if a few more people will start. Thank you, Stacy, for your thumbs up. Appreciate that. Thank you, Donald. All right, I'm gonna pop my video on. All right, so we're gonna get started here in just 1 minute. Let's see.
And just in case our participants don't realize, we are doing this live through Facebook. So the video will be available on our Facebook page, and we'll also have a link to it later on our website in case you miss anything. And we will also be providing the panel or the participants with a PDF of the slide deck.
All right, thank you. So that was Nicola, and I'm Christina, and we welcome you to this webinar. We're going to go ahead and begin. And I just want to thank you for joining us, and we're really excited to tell you more about the Tulare County Small Business COVID Relief Fund. It's a mouthful, but it's really exciting. Before we get started though, just want to make sure if anybody else joined just kind of last minute here, you're muted, we can't see you, but you can use the chat feature and the Q&A feature to ask questions all throughout this webinar. And in between, we'll be stopping and answering some of those questions live. But I also want to mention, in case we finish up today and you didn't get your question answered, you can always go over to the website and use the chat feature there and speak to someone and ask your questions live. We'll be there from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to answer your questions. And while I talk about the website, it's probably a great idea for you to kind of pull that up and kind of look at it as we go. So if you want to go to the website, it's www.tularecounty.relief.com. I don't know if we can put that in the comments so you guys can link that. But again, we have a chat feature there and we're happy to answer questions if anything gets missed today. So before we jump into our slides here, I just want to talk about the purpose of this funding. So Tulare County and our Board of Supervisors understand the negative impact COVID-19 has had in our community's small businesses. And while some have been able to get assistance through other relief programs, many businesses have not, or somehow slipped through the cracks. So we're just really excited that this is something that Tulare County can provide to our small businesses to help them through this really difficult time. So we're going to begin. I would like to just kind of talk about the different things we're going to mention. The first thing we're going to talk about is the funding summary, kind of just explain that a little bit. We're going to talk about eligibility. We're going to talk about allowable expenses. What can you use the money for? On the application, we're asking for 2 required documents that you're going to be uploading during the application process. And lastly, we're just going to kind of run through the website, point out where you kind of apply, and then we'll be answering questions as we go here. All right, so let's begin with our funding summary. All right, so the CARES Act is giving Tulare County $7.5 million to give to its small businesses in the form of mini grants. If awarded, each applicant will receive $5,000 in grant money. This money is not a loan and does not need to be paid back. The application deadline is August 16th, and emails are sent out by the 25th to say whether you've been awarded. We're going to talk about the timeline again later, but we hope to, it's really quick. So the whole thing is just quick, it's easy. We actually talk a little bit more about this on the website. So again, if you go to the website and you look at the menu bar, there's a page called How It Works. This is very informational on how the application process is going to work. Just kind of gives you some more idea of what to expect. And then we also have a really great frequently asked question page in our menu as well, that kind of clarifying questions to help go into further details than we might today. So those resources are there for you to access on the website. Let's go over to eligibility. So who is this grant for? This grant is for any small business within Tulare County who has seen a loss of revenue in the past 4 months due to this pandemic, has 20 or fewer full-time employees. Oh, sorry, Nicole, I'm just running through it. You can just pop all of those up. And has not already received other funding through the CARES Act. So this includes self-employed, independent contractors, for-profit and nonprofit organizations. So I know that there's going to be a lot of questions about when I say other funding. And so maybe we can answer some of those questions now. Do we have any questions yet, Nicola, on what it means when we say you're not eligible if you receive the Paycheck Protection Program? Maybe explaining the difference between the loan versus what we call the advance. Can you answer that, Nicola?
Let me unmute myself. So yeah, in terms of reasons you wouldn't be able to apply, if you worked with your bank, your lender, and you were able to get a paycheck protection loan, you will not be eligible for this funding because the paycheck protection loan is also CARES Act funding. So you're not allowed to double dip into CARES Act. The other reason you wouldn't be able to apply is the SBA has an economic injury disaster loan, also called EIDL loan. And if you applied and received the EIDL loan, you are also not eligible to apply for this funding. Again, it's CARES Act funding. The caveat, the little loophole that we have, which is kind of nice, There are a lot of businesses that filled out the paperwork for the EIDL loan, but when they filled it out, they also checked a box saying that they were interested in getting the EIDL advance. And the advance is actually a grant. So there were a lot of businesses who filled out the paperwork, didn't qualify for the EIDL loan or decided not to take the EIDL loan, but they did take an advance. And usually the advance was pretty small, anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 or $3,000. If you received just the advance for the EIDL, then you are eligible to apply. But if you went through and you signed paperwork for a loan, either Paycheck Protection or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, you are not eligible to apply for this funding.
So again, it's just going back to that original purpose of Tulare County and the Board of Supervisors really wanting to help the small businesses who've really just like, they missed out or somehow couldn't get funding. And so that's really what this mini grant is all about. So thank you, Nicola, for going into further details about other funding, because I know that's a common question we're getting. So now let's move over to allowable costs. A lot of owners want to know, what can I spend this money on? So let's talk about that. The grant funding is meant to help reimburse your business for things you've already paid for. So rent, utilities, things, we're going to go into that. But you can use this to, oh, it is already up, sorry. And you went right to it, Nicole, and I missed it. So some of the expenses that can be reimbursed are rent, utilities, and expenses associated with COVID-19, like protecting your employees and your customers. So we have like examples of that. So cleaning, disinfectant supplies, face masks, like systems where you've had to encourage social distancing, that kind of thing. But it's important to point out that this is something you can reimburse yourself from April of this year, and then you could use for future purchases through September 30th. Gosh, did I say that right, Nicole? Is that correct?
You did. Yep, that's correct. So if you're looking back at all of your expenses for the last 6 months, that, you know, maybe you've had your income has been greatly reduced, or you've had a lot of increased costs over the last 6 months due to COVID, this funding is meant to help reimburse for rent. So if you paid rent over the last 6 months, this can reimburse you for that. If you've paid utilities for your business, and these are business only expenses, but if you've paid utilities for your business, you can be reimbursed for that. If you bought things like plexiglass shields or face masks for your employees, maybe you had to buy a new point of sale system so that you weren't taking cash and people were able to order online. Those are the types of things that you can be reimbursed for. In addition, you can also spend the money up until the end of September. So if you needed to purchase things like face masks and disinfectant, you could use this funding once you get it to purchase those items.
Correct. Thank you. That's actually one of the things we'll ask about on the application is, what do you plan to spend the money on? So you might want to think about that now and how you can use that money to help reimburse expenses.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is there any other questions that are coming through that maybe we could take a minute and stop and answer?
The PUA is coming through. I know that Nicola, you already answered it on the chat, but I don't know if you want to address it live.
Sure. So we did have a question from somebody who had already applied and said that they were disqualified because they had been receiving the $600 unemployment from EDD. And I did want to let them know, and I will let everybody know, we have simplified the application even more than it already is, because it takes less than 10 minutes to fill out. But we've simplified the application, and we're no longer asking if you've received unemployment, and we're no longer asking you to tell us about your revenue. What we are going to ask you to do is to explain how you have been negatively financially impacted by COVID.
Any other questions that's coming up?
No, not yet.
All right. How are we doing, guys? Give us a thumbs up if we're doing okay. All right, let's move on to required documents. So in keeping with our quick and easy theme here, we want to let you know we're only asking you to provide 2 documents to digitally upload at the end of your application. And if you have these ready, which you'll be prompted in the beginning to have these 2 forms ready, then like Nicola said, it should only take 10 minutes or less. It's a really quick and simple application. It's done online. You just have to get those digital copies ready to go, whether you're on your computer or your phone. So the 2 documents that we are looking for is proof of ownership or establishment of your business. And we only really need 1 document. So you have a choice of uploading your business license or certificate, a tax return or Schedule C, or if you're a nonprofit, then your IRS determination letter, so your exempt letter. Those are your 3 options. We only need 1. We don't need all of them. And the other document that we are requiring is a W-9. And we get this question a lot lately, is why do I need a W-9? If you want to get paid, then a W-9 is required to report any grant money you may have received to the IRS. So all businesses will be required to submit one. So if you've never filled out a W-9, you can download it at the beginning of the application with a link that is provided to you. There's actually a second location within the application, if you somehow missed it, that you can download that link. And if you somehow missed it again, you can chat with us and we'll give you the link again. But you do want to get a hold of that document. We recommend printing it, and you need to fill it out. And really, really important, you need to sign it. And it's best if you do this before the application, before you get into it. Just have those documents ready to go. Let's see. Oh, I just want to mention our pro tip in case you weren't thinking about it. With those documents, if you have a phone, take a picture of it. Take a picture of that business license and upload it from your phone. If you want to send it to your email because you're using your computer, but that's something you can do, is simply take a picture of it if you don't have a scanner. So just want to let you know you can do that. And then we have some other great tips too that we can share with you during our chat, and we've been able to help people kind of maneuver some of the technical problems they're having. So we're here to help you. We're not leaving you on your own, but it is really easy, I promise. Oh, one other thing I want to mention on the W-9, just be sure that the legal name of the business is on there and not the DBA on your W-9. And again, just be sure to sign it.
So Christina, we do have one question, and this is sort of related to the W-9. They're asking, what is an EIN number?
Yes, I'm actually going to talk about that later, but we could dig into that now, Nicola, if you want to answer.
Sure. So your EIN number is really your tax ID number. When you open up a business, you register with the IRS, and you get an EIN number. And so that's the number that you're going to include on your W-9 form. We also ask for your EIN number in the application. If you are an independent contractor or sometimes even a sole proprietor, you may not have an EIN number. And in that case, you would use your social security number for the document. It'll ask you for either or. Most corporations, partnerships, LLCs, those types of businesses have an EIN number, but you may not if you are sole proprietor, independent contractor. It then allows you to use your social.
Great, thank you. Now I don't have to say that later. All right, so let's move into website and application. That's our final topic tonight. So now that you know if your business qualifies and how you can spend the money, we want to help you navigate through the website. I've mentioned the website before. It's really intuitive. It's really easy to navigate through. We've put some great resources up there for you so you feel prepared and can get your questions answered. And then you have that personal help with the chat feature. But I kind of wanted to go over some of the questions that you should be prepared for, and maybe that will kind of make some more questions pop up as I go through this. I do want to note at the top right of our website, you can choose your preferred language. If it is English, it most likely will come up English, but we also offer everything in this website in Spanish. So just to let you know, it's something we're doing. So, and again, if anytime you have a question, you can use that chat feature in the bottom right-hand corner. Nicola, I don't know if someone can show kind of where that chat feature is.
Mhm.
Are you able to use your, yeah, there it is. So that box will pop up and you'll see a really cute guy named Tom and you'll talk to him and then you'll actually be coming into one of us. But if you want Tom to go away because he's in your way, you just kind of click on, there's a bottom arrow button that you'll click on and then Tom will go away. So, and I just want to reassure you, this form is really easy. So to begin, as you can see, you just click on the apply now. And when you get started, you're going to, again, select your preferred language.
Mhm.
And then, all right, I'm going to go through this and see if it kind of triggers any more questions before I stop again. I don't know if you guys have any more. Ryan, do you have any other good questions before I go?
No, not yet. But one thing I was going to mention, Christina, is we can finish this live stream on Facebook, and for the attendees, since there's not a whole lot, we can probably open up some mics once we finish the stream on Facebook. So leave the Zoom webinar open for a few minutes in case people have some more in-depth questions.
Mhm.
Perfect. Sounds great. All right. So after hitting the start and selecting your language, and you've also gotten your documents ready, right? Because that way it'll be much easier. Once you have all that ready, it's going to ask you some basic information about you and your business. And then there's a number of questions to verify that your business meets the eligibility requirements. So it's really great. We get questions before anybody ever gets in there, like, am I eligible? But the application is really set up to tell you whether you are or not. So don't be afraid to just jump in there and start the application. It's really easy to get through. I was going to mention, and Nicola, you can help me through this, but some of the questions that seem to be tripping some business owners are the 20 or less full-time employees. And so I know the question I get a lot is, well, I don't have any employees. And so they're not sure how to answer. And so the question is going to sound, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's, do you have 20 or less employees, full-time employees? And so if you have 0, then your answer is 0, which means you answer yes. So I know that kind of confused a few people. I don't know, Nicola, you want to go into how to calculate that, but that's something we kind of give more information about on our frequently asked questions as well as the application.
Yeah, so if you're a business owner and you're wondering, do I have 20 or fewer employees? If you're a sole proprietor or you have no employees, you have 0 employees, then that is fewer than 20. So yes, you do qualify. If you have 1 employee or 2 employees, yes, you qualify. There are some businesses that have more than 20 employees, but maybe they're all part-time. So in the application itself and also in our FAQ, we do have a way for you to figure out how many full-time equivalent employees that you have. So if you have, 40 part-time employees, there's a formula that you would plug that into, and it'll tell you how many full-time equivalents you have. So as long as you have 20 or fewer full-time equivalents, then you are eligible for this. And someone just asked us a question and says, when it asks about your employees, do I put my info in? So if you are an owner and you receive a paycheck, then you're considered an employee. If you're the only one and you're self-employed, then you just put the number 0, because it will ask you if you have 20 or fewer. And then farther into the application, you'll have to tell us how many employees you have. So if you are self-employed or an independent contractor, most likely your answer is just going to be 0. So as long as you're using the numbers 0, 1 through 20, then it will accept that answer.
And just to clarify, it's a 2-part question. So the first question is, do you have, because you're in the eligibility part, do you simply yes or no? Do you have 20 or fewer? And the answer is yes if you don't have any, okay? And then later on in the application, we actually want to know how many you have, right? That's still a question?
Yep.
Changed it a few times, so I wanted to make sure. So then we'll actually have you put in a number. So again, if, as Nicola said, if you don't have any, we'd like you to put in the number 0. Do not try to put in none. Any other good, I know there's some good questions coming up here from Elizabeth. Thank you. Do you see that? Or did you already answer?
Yep, we've already got that. So it says, So do we say yes to no employees?
You say yes to 20 or fewer,
Right.
which 0 is 20 or 0 is less than 20.
Yep.
If that, does that answer your question, Veronica? Hopefully.
Yeah, if you are self-employed and only have a seller's permit, then you have 0 employees. So for the first question, you would answer, yes, I have fewer than 20 full-time employees. And later there's a question that says, how many employees do you have? And in that one, you would put 0.
Okay, awesome. I feel like that question has really tripped up people at some point, especially when they don't have any. And so I'm glad we're able to kind of address that here in this webinar. Another one that kind of can get confusing is knowing whether this is your primary source. That's another criteria, is that this is your primary source of income. And so I was hoping Nicola could talk a little bit about what that means versus what it doesn't mean. So Nicola, could you answer that?
Yes, I can. So what that means is if you have a full-time job, but you're a photographer on the side, you have a small photography business, you do a couple of shoots at Christmas, maybe you shoot a friend's wedding, maybe you do some spring photo shoots, but that's not your primary source of income, then the question asks if your business, which is your photography, your photography business, if that is, if that's 51% of your income. Chances are, if you're only doing it on the side, you're only doing a couple shoots a year, it's not going to be your primary source of income. And in that case, you would not be eligible for this funding. This funding is really meant to help those businesses where it is a primary source of income for somebody. So I hope that answers the question. If it doesn't, you can always chat with us because we can help you walk through. Every case is slightly different. Everyone's got their own circumstances. So it's hard to give a really general answer, but you can always chat with us. Even while you're in the middle of the application, you can open up the chat and we can help you through.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the beginning questions right at the beginning. So you won't be wasting your time if you find out you're not eligible. We're going to do that right up front. So if you make it past that part, then we're going to need to ask you some questions about your business. So we're going to be asking about business classification. Are you independent contractor, nonprofit, corporation, and so on. Let's see. You already answered this question, Nicola, which is, we have had questions about what is an EIN number, talking about tax ID. I feel like you really explained that, unless we have other questions about how to.
The only other question that's coming through is if they have to have a physical address, business address, in order to qualify. It says that, I'm assuming for some people that are working out of their home, they want to know if they are eligible to apply.
So the answer to that is yes. If you have a home-based business, then you would list your home address as your physical address for your business. Some people work out of their home, but they use a PO box. And in that case, you'll use your home address as your physical address, and then you would list your PO box as your mailing address, because we do ask for your mailing address if it's separate from your physical address.
Awesome. So we're almost done, because now the next part in the application is to start uploading your documents. So, so you'll be asked to, through the application, a lot of people are wondering like, well, how do I get you these documents? It's actually happening during the application process. You'll be prompted to upload the 2 documents that we've asked for. It's very much similar to other ways you've selected. You click on there and it has you go to your computer desktop or wherever you have that and select and upload. So if you have questions that you run into like a snag, or you have problems uploading, that's when you want to use that chat box. We're there to help you. And let's see, and then you're going to be uploading your W-9 as well, and just remember to sign it.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you are filling this out on your phone, because it's very mobile friendly, you just take a picture of it and upload the documents directly from your camera roll. So it's really very simple.
Yes, absolutely. All right, and the last part of the application, we talked about this before, is you'll need to explain how you plan to spend the funds. So just a reminder, the 3 types of allowable costs or allowable expenses is rent, utilities, and COVID-related expenses. That's what you can spend the money on. And that's what we'll ask you. And then we actually ask you to describe a little bit more about how you plan to spend the money. And that's it. To finish the application, you'll attest to the accuracy and click I do. And immediately following, you'll get a confirmation that your application has been submitted, and then you'll need to check your email box where you'll get some more information about what's next. So it really is that simple. I hope that you find it simple and easy, and if you don't, then please, we're there to assist you in our chat feature. So before we go into final questions, let's just do a really quick recap and maybe talk about the application timeline.
Yep. So let me pull up the timeline for the kind of the entire program so that you guys get a feel for everything that's happening. It is quick. So Christina, I'll put up the dates if you want to kind of walk them through how it's going to work.
Okay. So you've got the application deadline, which is August 16th. So we'll stop accepting applications then. And then email notifications should be going out, right? August 19th through the 25th. I see something different. Yeah. Okay. Oh, can you talk a little bit about the lottery? I guess maybe about.
We did kind of skip the lottery. So when the CARES funding was awarded by the county, the Board of Supervisors wanted to make sure that the funding was spread throughout the county evenly and not all the money would go to Visalia or just to Tulare or just to Porterville. So they really wanted to make sure that we reached all of our rural communities as well. So the way the funding is set up is we will close the application window on the 16th. And then from the 17th, 18th, and 19th, we will be doing a lottery. All the applications will be split up by their supervisor district. And each district will have up to 3,000 mini grants that they are able to award, or that we are able to award. And so we will do a lottery system to select the 300 businesses from each of the different districts. And then if your business is selected in the lottery, you will get an email notification sometime between the 19th and the 25th. The email notification will come from DocuSign, actually, and it will contain your contract agreement that you're going to need to sign and send back to us by the 25th in order for us to meet our deadline to have checks cut and ready to send out to you guys the first week of September.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions that have come through that we can answer before we finish up? Oh, you have more information.
I have one extra little slide that I threw in here, Christina. So I know I surprised you, but I realized this is something that people are going to start asking pretty soon.
Oh, yes.
Because it is a grant, you don't have to pay it back, but there are things that you will be responsible for as the business owner. We are asking you to please keep copies of your documentation. So whatever you spend it on, if you are reimbursing yourself for rent that you have paid, we just need you to hold on to all of your rental bills that are marked paid. You're going to hold on to those, and you need to hold them for at least 5 years. We also are going to ask that you make those available upon request. We may or may not be reaching out to you asking to review the documents. We want to make sure, again, you said you're going to spend it on certain things. We need to make sure that you're spending it on those allowable costs. It is funding from the government, and they are very particular, and they want to make sure that the money is going where they want it to go. So we will ask you in your contract to make those available to us. And then if you plan to spend the money on new expenses and not on reimbursement, we need you to be able to have that spending done by September 30th. And that will, again, we'll be looking at your documentation to make sure that everything you're spending the money on was from March 19th, 2020 to September 30th, 2020.
Awesome.
And that's the last slide. I don't have any more surprises for you.
That's okay if you do. It's really great information. So Ryan, were there some more questions?
No, I think we're caught up on everything. I just wanted to mention again, if you want, we can finish up the feed on Facebook if you want to do a closing out. And then we can allow our participants that are still in the room to ask questions using their mic if they choose to do so.
Great, awesome. So we've covered a lot of information, and I just want to remind you to have a look around the website, check out how it works, our frequently asked questions. And don't forget to come say hi to us in our chat feature if you get stuck or just need a clarifying question. We're here to help you from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I hope that this has been really helpful for you. And I hope that you're excited about the possibilities of getting some help. So again, we're going to close things out. We're going to keep it open here for our live questions.
All right, awesome. I'm going to go ahead and stop this live stream. And then, like I said, attendees, if you're still in here, you can ask questions live. I'll allow your mics to be opened up. So thank you for participating in the workshop tonight. And I'm going to stop the stream. Good luck.